Antonio Ribeiro was 68 years old, but he carried the weight of a century on his shoulders. Every morning, long before the sun rose, he walked through the silent city streets with the same worn out brown coat he had owned for years. The fabric was frayed at the elbows, but it was always clean. Antonio used to say, "A poor man may not have luxury, but he can always have dignity." And so he kept everything he had tidy, organized, and well cared for, even if he had little. Antonio worked as a cleaning assistant in a large commercial building downtown, a job many considered small or insignificant. But he never saw it that way. He worked quietly, humbly, doing whatever needed to be done. He cleaned offices, organized desks, replaced light bulbs, refilled water coolers, emptied trash cans, and every single day, without fail, he greeted everyone he saw with a gentle smile. But not everyone greeted him back. Most didn't hear him. Some pretended not to. And at the top of the company, the source of much of that coldness was Enrique Vasconcelos, the owner. A 42-year-old millionaire, an heir, arrogant by nature and proud by habit. Enrique had everything money could buy except humility. To him, Antonio was nothing more than an old, tired man. A background object in the building. A part of the furniture. Something or someone replaceable. But that never dimmed the kindness in Antonio's eyes. He had been through so much in life. So much that the daily humiliations seemed like small storms compared to the hurricanes of his past. He had once been called Tonino of Gold because everything he touched prospered. He had been a good salesman, a beloved neighbor, a man full of joy and hope. But life, as it always does, tested him with pain he was not prepared for. He lost his wife, Helena, the love of his life, suddenly. He lost his job. He lost his parents. He lost friends. He lost almost everything. But he never lost his kindness. During one early morning at work, Antonio stepped into the 8th floor to begin organizing the offices. Before he even reached the equipment closet, Enrique appeared in the doorway of his own office, staring at him with annoyance. "Almost 7, and you haven't cleaned the reception yet?" Enrique snapped without greeting him. Antonio smiled politely, tired but sincere. "Good morning, sir. I always start with the break room. It's where the staff goes first. I'll take care of the reception right after." Enrique rolled his eyes. Excuses. Always excuses. It seems old people can't keep up with anything anymore. Antonio lowered his head. He didn't like hearing such things, but he never argued. "We do the best we can, sir." Enrique stepped closer and said in a cold voice, "Then do better. Or I'll get someone else to replace you." Antonio took a slow breath. He had heard that line many times before and simply replied, "You're the boss." Enrique walked away with a satisfied smirk, believing he had once again asserted his power. The morning continued as usual, tiring, quiet, repetitive. Some employees treated Antonio kindly, others ignored him, some mocked him behind his back, and a few demanded favors without ever saying thank you. But the destiny of men often changes in moments no one expects. Around 3 in the afternoon, while carrying boxes to the storage room, Antonio heard a faint voice coming from the parking lot behind the building. It sounded weak, desperate. He dropped the box immediately and hurried toward the sound, moving as fast as his aging legs could manage. There, lying beside a luxury car, he found a young man struggling to breathe, pale, sweating, holding his chest. Antonio knelt beside him without hesitation. "My son. Can you hear me? What happened?" he asked gently. The young man could barely speak, but pointed toward his pocket. Inside was a small bottle of medication. Antonio read the label quickly. It was for a heart condition. With steady hands, he helped the young man take the medicine and then called emergency services. He stayed with him the entire time, held his hand, kept him calm, covered him with his old coat to protect him from the cold concrete. Before losing consciousness, the young man whispered, "Thank you." "Sir," Antnio smiled softly, "no need to thank me. A person's life is worth more than gold or fortune, and no one deserves to suffer alone." Minutes later, the ambulance arrived and rushed the young man to the hospital. Antnio returned to work as if nothing unusual had happened. He didn't mention it to anyone. He didn't expect praise or reward. He believed he had simply done what any decent person should do. But 2 hours later, the entire company fell silent. Enrique stormed through the office halls, panicked, shouting into his phone, trembling with fear. "Where is my son? Has anyone seen my son? Somebody answer me." Employees exchanged shocked looks. Most of them didn't even know Enrique had a child. When security reviewed the cameras and told Enrique that the young man found in the parking lot, the one who had suffered a near-fatal attack, was his only son, Lucas, and that the person who saved him was the old man he humiliated daily, something broke inside Enrique. At the hospital, Enrique found Lucas awake, weak, but alive. Lucas gripped his father's hand and whispered, "Dad, that man, that old man saved me. You should treat people like him better." Enrique froze. The words hit him harder than any business failure ever could. The next morning, at 6:04 a.m., when Antnio entered the building, he saw Enrique waiting for him in the reception area, something he had never done. Antnio braced himself for more criticism, more humiliation. Instead, Enrique spoke in a shaken voice. "Mr. Antnio, I want to apologize." Antnio blinked in confusion. Enrique swallowed hard before continuing. "You saved my son. You saved the most important thing in my life. And I treated you like trash. I don't know how to repay you." Antnio placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We don't help others to be repaid, sir. We help because it's the right thing to do. The rest, God handles." Enrique's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, he felt something real inside his chest. In the days that followed, Enrique visited Antnio's modest home, small, simple, but peaceful. He began to see the world differently through the old man's stories and quiet wisdom. Enrique offered him a better job. He refused. Offered him money. He refused. Offered him benefits, bonuses, anything. All were refused gently. One day, Enrique asked, "Then tell me, what can I do to repay you? Then tell me, what can I do to repay you?" And Antnio replied, "Treat people well. Everyone carries a burden. Sometimes the smile of someone who works for you is the only light they have that day." Years went by. Antnio grew older, but he was never alone again. When he passed away peacefully in his sleep, the company shut down operations for the day. Employees lined the halls in silence. Enrique ordered a plaque to be placed in the lobby, in memory of Antnio Ribeiro, the man whose kindness taught us more than any book ever could. During the memorial, Lucas stood before everyone and said, "He didn't just save my life that day. He saved my father. He saved our family. And he saved us from becoming blind to what truly matters." And so, Antnio, the invisible old man, the quiet worker, the humble soul many ignored, became a legend in the hearts of all who knew him. He proved, once and for all, that the simple are often the most extraordinary, and that the people you humiliate today may be the ones who save you tomorrow.